This is your weekly IUP-TV news bulletin, broadcast from the comfort of our own homes. My name is Tristan West.
And my name is Alex Huber. We bring you stories that are relevant to IUP and the Indiana community. Let's begin with the local news. Pache Chancellor Dr. Dan Greenstein recently referred to IUP as financially unstable. And this is not just an IUP issue. Out of the 14 Pache universities, only Westchester and Slippery Rock were listed as financially healthy. IUP's financial problems were present before COVID, but the university faces more issues due to lower enrollment. Greenstein estimated the cost of closing a university that currently has 4,000 to 5,000 students is around $150 to $200 million. While shutting down completely wasn't on the table, if IUP were to close down, Indiana County would lose its largest employer.
The IUP Police Academy offered a new seminar to the Lower Borough Police Department. This is the first group in the region to take a new seminar that focuses on the concept of police legitimacy, which means that police will recognize their authority while the public shows their support and cooperates with them. This style of training is now being implemented at many police academies in response to nationwide outcry to crack down on police brutality.
Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey has announced that he will not be seeking re-election at the end of his current term in 2022. Toomey has also claimed no intention of running for governor. This move came as a surprise to some, as the Republican senator seemed to be the most likely Republican candidate for governor after his critiques of Governor Wolf's COVID response. Looking back, Toomey has served over a decade in office, and during his 2016 re-election campaign, stated that it was, quote, likely his last. Despite the announcement, Toomey's team has assured constituents that he intends to keep working throughout the rest of his term. Vietnam will finally resume international flights after months of its airports remaining shut down due to the COVID-19 outbreak. In order to ensure the safety of the passengers and crew, anyone on a flight, domestic or international, must show a certificate that proves that they have been tested negative for COVID-19 at least 5 days before the departure or flight.
A new divide has emerged between the eastern and western Germany from the COVID-19 pandemic. A map of COVID cases and deaths divides Germany along the same border brought down 3 decades ago that signaled the end of the Cold War. West German states are more densely populated than the rural eastern states, leading to higher numbers of positive cases. What was previously seen as a disadvantage for the East has become an advantage during a pandemic. While unification happened 3 decades ago, the divide has yet to be fully healed in Germany.
The 2020 presidential election is quickly approaching, and with many Pennsylvania voters having concerns regarding healthcare, rising taxes, Social Security, and federal funding, Pennsylvania residents wonder, will these be affected by who we elect into office? I spoke to a few of those voters about their opinions on the election. With the 2020 election quickly approaching, many Pennsylvania voters are having to make a decision that will affect the entire nation, whether to elect the former vice president or the current commander-in-chief. So, what sort of issues are you worried about going into the election?
I think I'm worried about the same issues that most people are worried about. The economy, how do you pay bills, how do we get the country going again after the coronavirus, and how that's going to affect everyday working people and how they can pay their bills, pay their mortgages, get back to living their lives as they normally would.
While some voters chose broader issues such as healthcare and employment, others chose a more unique issue related directly to them. What sort of issues that are unique to PA are you worried about?
I think Pennsylvania, particularly on the western side of the state, fracking has been a big issue for a lot of folks. It's brought a lot of jobs and prosperity to the western side of the state, and so therefore I think that our politicians need to discuss, what the future of fracking is going to be, how it can be done responsibly without causing problems with the environment, and I think that is a huge deal to the folks here in Western Pennsylvania.
And with the new election season comes a new crowd of first-time voters. First-time voters made a huge impact on the 2016 election, making up 16% of total Pennsylvania votes. And this marks the first time many in Generation Z will get to vote in a presidential election. So, what sort of issues will you be thinking about going into the 2020 presidential election?
So the issues that I'm really concerned with is all over American healthcare, how the social systems are going to work and how it's all going to play out if one candidate or the other gets chosen, because there are very, very conflicting sides in this.
Compared to the older generation, Generation Z tends to be more specific on their expectations from those they elected to office. So, what kind of issues will you be thinking about when you head to the polls for the election this year?
I'm thinking about the state of Second Amendment throughout the country and also the raising of the corporate income tax, because that could possibly affect future employment.
It seems not to matter whether or not you're a first-time voter or someone who has never missed an election. Everybody has an opinion on the 2020 presidential race. But when it comes down to it, it's up to the American people to decide what direction our country will be going in. And for many Americans, the day when we get to cast our votes and let our voices be heard can't come soon enough. Reporting for IUP-TV, I'm Alex Huber.
As COVID-19 persists, people's anxiety levels have increased, causing fear and stress on the mind and body. For those who suffer from COVID-19 or need to self-quarantine, being isolated and practicing social distancing can take a toll on their mental health. I spoke with a few people who gave their suggestions on how to maintain a healthy state of mind and reduce stress. Since the start of COVID-19, many Americans have had to self-quarantine. This isolation has had an effect on mental health in America. The CDC has found that the virus has caused an increased risk for fear, changes in sleeping patterns, substance abuse, and depression in the general populace. Students in particular have shown an increase in anxiety and depressive disorders.
I think it's definitely affected it quite a bit. It's very challenging to try and actually do classes online and not be able to interact with my friends in person. Zoom meetings definitely satiate the need for human interaction, but it's absolutely not the same. And it's gotten to the point I get dressed up fancy to go grocery shopping.
The CDC has also given suggestions to help people with taking care of themselves. Eating a healthy diet, regular exercise, and maintaining a regular sleep schedule have all been recommended to reduce stress.
I've been doing a lot of those Zoom happy hour things where you just get together with a bunch of friends and meet up on Zoom, just to try and catch up. I've done it with a lot of friends from high school who I haven't talked to in a long time, but it's been a lot of trying new things and figuring out what does and doesn't work, trying to work out more, do other cliche things that are supposed to help with depression and stuff.
The CDC also recommends engaging in activities that you enjoy and maintaining social connections through social distancing. Avoiding isolation in general is important.
Well, first of all, I would definitely recommend, this is an incredibly stressful time, and having somebody to talk to, be it a friend or even a licensed professional, is 100%. I would recommend that. I would especially recommend the licensed professional because they're an impartial third party that you can complain to with no risk or harm to you. But I would just honestly say the biggest thing to do is take time, make sure that you're reaching out to people. If you feel like you're alone, and remember that you're not, and make sure you take the time to do something that you enjoy. Truthfully, if you enjoy doing it, it's not like you wasted time.
The CDC has listed a number of services available to those who need help, including the Disaster Distress Helpline, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and many others. I'm Tristan West, and I'm reporting for IUP-TV News.
Hello, welcome to the brand new world that is 1977. In the Communications Media Department here at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, we make media. Communications media students learn about COM, creative opportunities
to master media.
At IUP's Communications Media Department, we still follow the concept of COM, creative opportunities to master media. Students can study media marketing, media studies, or media production. Be part of our campus television and radio stations, do event planning, work on film productions, do live sports production, and more. To learn more, go to www.iup.edu/commedia.
Fall is officially here, and you might want to get out and soak up the nice weather. Getting fresh air is beneficial for your health. And when you're out in the fresh air, you're breathing in more oxygen. Did you know that oxygen intake regulates your brain function more efficiently? Also, the blast of vitamin D from the oxygen levels in the air helps boost energy and helps with depression. Our reporter Alex Westerman went out and spoke to people about how they're getting fresh air.
Fall is here, and it is beautiful out. It's the perfect weather to go out with friends and family for some fresh air and exercise. Whether that's riding bikes, running, nature walks, and even taking the dogs out for a walk. Getting outside is important when we spend so much time inside. A safe place to go for outdoor activities is your local park. I went to my local park to see if others had the same idea. This is what one local had to say.
So what is your reasoning for coming out to the park today?
Well, I wanted to come out to the park to get some fresh air, go for a walk, been cooped up inside.
And since the kids are not using the fields for sports like soccer, the parks are less crowded, allowing for more people to come and visit the park for exercise.
And how do you think that visiting the park is good for your health?
I think it's good to get out, not be at home all day, good for exercise, things like that.
I asked James what his favorite activity was to do at the park.
I like to go to hiking trails, things like that, out in the woods.
And he wasn't alone on that. Most of the people we saw were just out walking the trails and enjoying the fresh fall air. Thank you. This has been Alex Wassman reporting for IUP-TV.
Now that October is here, many children are looking forward to Halloween. They can dress up and go trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. Due to COVID-19, though, things may be different this year. Our reporter Samaya Huey visited a local Halloween store to find out about Halloween this year and some alternatives for celebration.
Many events have been canceled due to the pandemic. With October approaching, people wonder, will Halloween be put on hold this year? Halloween is a time for stores to provide costumes for children to dress up into. And of course, they offer an endless amount of candy.
I will allow my kids this year to celebrate it the best way we can. During this pandemic and our kids having to be social distancing, you can't really pass out candy the way you used to. You have to give out the candy bags and so forth like that.
What better ways to excite children more than bringing them to stores so they can choose their costume to get ready for trick-or-treating? However, costume shopping may not be as easy as it used to be. Since the spread of COVID-19, store hours have changed, and sometimes it can conflict with parents' working hours.
I usually shop early, so now that the times have changed from this time to that time, I have to push myself a little bit harder to come early, and they close early, so it's a little half and half with it. I like it because we're trying to be safe, but I dislike it because it's like we can't go shopping on regular time.
With children having their own costumes, now parents have to think about trick-or-treating with social distancing in order.
Basically, I would like to stay home this year and do a traditional Halloween, like bake taffy apples, carve pumpkins, watch spooky, scary movies, and like let her dress up in makeup and everything, because it's very hard for her to get out the age she is to practice social distancing.
With concerns over COVID-19, many parents choose not to allow their children to trick or treat. For the children, there are other alternatives to still celebrate, such as carving pumpkins, watching scary movies, and eating candy in their own homes. Now remember to practice social distancing. I'm Samaya Huey, and I'm reporting for IUP-TV News.
Alex, will you be participating in any Halloween festivities?
I don't know, Tristan. With the amount of candy I've been eating, I feel like I've been celebrating Halloween for the past 20 years. Well, that's all the news we have for you this week. Next week, we'll tell you stories related to mail-in voting and playing sports during COVID. I'm Alex Huber.
I'm Tristan West. Don't forget to check out our Instagram and YouTube pages to catch up on episodes you might have missed. Remember to practice social distancing, manage a healthy state of mind, and stay safe out there, IUP. And we'll see you next week.